This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is a great platform for building your online presence and running your business with websites, online stores, and marketing and analytics tools. So I'm going to do a bit of an experiment and try doing a 4-day work week. Now, why? Why am I doing this? Well, firstly, it's important to take breaks and rest. This is something that is very much undervalued in our society. I want to see if I can get all of my work done in 4 days instead of 5 so that I can take Fridays off. And I'm going to be doing this experiment for a month. Other reasons why I want to do this is like testing my self-control. Like, will I actually fully be able to switch off on Fridays, or will I just do work anyway? Because I really like my job, and it's one of those jobs where there is always something to do. I also want to practice delegating. So with taking a day off, there's gonna potentially be some tasks, some things that I'm going to hand off to my assistant Megan or to my editor Becky that I can't do. It's also gonna be great practice in setting boundaries, putting that email out of office on, letting people know like, hey, you're not gonna get a response from me. I'm not working. Another reason, fuck capitalism. Why do we have to work 5 days a week anyway? Who decided that? Tell me what is natural, what is innate in humans that we work for 5 days and then have a 2-day weekend. We invented that. So why a 4-day work week? Do they work? Are they good? I watched Andrew Barnes's TED Talk about doing a 4-day work week in his company, and he said that apparently Brits are only productive for 2.5 hours per day. Why are we working 8 hours a day if we're only getting the good stuff done for 2.5 of those hours? But he implemented a 4-day work week experiment. Employees worked for 4 days, but they were still paid for 5. And that's a really important piece if you're like running a company and you're doing this with your employees. You don't cut their pay, like you still pay them full time, but they get an extra day off. But things that they found amongst their employees was that engagement went up, stress levels went down. Employees said that they were better able to handle their workload and they worked better as a team. So all great things. Iceland recently did some 4-day work week trials, which were deemed a success, and Spain is currently trialing them. It's seeping in. It's like happening. Like, I think we're really overdue, like a complete overhaul of how we work. And I think the pandemic has definitely shifted the way that people think and go about work as well. But my questions for doing this experiment myself are, do these same things apply? Do the positive outcomes apply if you work for yourself? So it's all well and good that employees of companies, when still paid their full wage and they get an extra day off work, they're like loving their life, more productive at work, feeling less stressed, able to handle life stuff outside of work as well because they have that extra day. But what about me? I pay myself through what the business earns, and if I'm not working, will that actually impact the business finances? Like, because that's 1 day less a week that I'm able to do work that would potentially generate revenue. So who knows? And then also, what if you don't have the distractions of other co-workers? Because I work by myself. Like, I am here alone, solo. So does that make a difference at all? Am I already more productive than somebody who maybe goes into a big office because I've got nobody to try and chat with me, to like take a break with, to distract me in any way? Like, it's just me here. I just get on with it. Granted, the internet is a great distraction. But yes, these are some thoughts that I have. And then I guess my other question is, will I like it? Will I find my workload more manageable or less manageable? Will it stress me out, or will it actually make me feel like more rested and more productive on the days that I do work? We shall see. So 4-day work week, 1 month, let's go. Okay, it is week 1 of my 4-day week, and we are really diving into the deep end here, like not even allowing myself even the chance that I might do some work on Friday because my parents are coming to visit. So they're arriving Friday afternoon, but Friday morning, I basically need to clean and bake. We've got food to make. So I'm very excited about that. But also, it's just gonna be a proper Friday off. So the reason I picked Fridays as my day off is 1 3-day weekend. It's a Friday. It's kind of like the obvious choice. But also in terms of my content schedule, it's the day where there like isn't really any content going out. Like every other week my newsletter goes out, but I tend to like promote that the day before if I remember to promote it. By the way, I have a newsletter because Hannah Witton channel stuff goes out on Tuesdays, podcast when we're releasing episodes is Wednesdays, and then this channel is Thursdays, and then every other Friday is the newsletter. The only like task that has to get done on a Friday, like as part of like the schedule and like the routine, is the final checks for the final edit of the Hannah Witton channel videos that goes out like the week after. So my editor gets me like the first edit on the Thursday and then the final edit on the Friday, and I just like to check it all before the weekend, just in case there's any like last minute edits that need to get done, so we're not rushing on a Monday morning because Monday afternoon the video goes live for patrons. You know, I just like to be ahead of schedule. So one of the things that we're trialing whilst I do this 4-day work week experiment is actually delegating that task of doing the final checks and making sure everything is all good to my assistant. And so she will upload the video and just like make sure everything is all good. And I'm nervous about it. It's always really quite nerve-wracking when you delegate something new, especially something that like you have in your head of like, it has to be me that does it, or it's just best, it's just easiest if it's me that does it. And my reasoning for that is because I filmed the video, because I watched the first edit and gave feedback notes on the first edit, it just means that I'm familiar with the content. So when it comes to that final round of checks, I know what to look out for. And what it means for my assistant is that she kind of has to look over my edit notes and stuff and kind of like cross-reference with the final video. But most of the time, the only real things that kind of get picked up in that final stage is if there were any like technical errors or mistakes or like things that went weird with the export. It's never usually like a creative decision in the edit, which I tend to do on like the first pass of edit notes. So I'm nervous, but it's fine, it's good. You just need to we need to start experimenting with these things. I need to start like offloading more things from my plate. There are also some Fridays where Becky, my editor, is off and my assistant Megan are off. So we're all off on Fridays. And so in those cases, Becky's just gonna get me the video earlier on a Thursday. We're just gonna like push everything back a day. I need to stop talking and get on with work so that I can actually get everything done by Friday. Also, I'm kind of taking like a day and a half off this week because Thursday morning is like 4 weeks after my first vaccination. And I'm basically gonna go on vaccine hunt. Gimme! So I also don't have any work scheduled in for that Thursday morning whilst I go on a bit of a hunt around town for a Moderna vaccine. Oh, good times, good times. So it's the Monday, I am back off from my long weekend, and I needn't have worried about trying to do any work on Friday and like sneaking in some emails here and there because I got my second COVID vaccine on Thursday and was completely knocked out Thursday night and then most of Friday, and then still just feeling a bit crappy on Saturday and Sunday, but Thursday night and Friday day was the worst of it. So good job I took the day off. I basically just like tried to sleep and watched Anastasia on the sofa until my parents arrived in the afternoon, where I started to feel a bit better and could actually like talk to people. So, you know, book a day off and it turns into a sick day. I have no plans for this Friday. It's gonna be a weird one. But hopefully I do manage to do some proper 4-day work weeks where the Friday I'm able to do stuff and I'm not just like a ball of crappy, ill vaccine side effects on the sofa. But please, if you haven't had the COVID vaccine yet already, or you haven't got your second jab and you can, like, please do it. It was worth it. I felt like shit for a couple of days, but but I'm fine. Just here's your PSA, please get your COVID vaccines. Thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. I run a bunch of my websites on Squarespace. It is a great platform for building your online presence and running your business. They have loads of different themes to choose from, and you can customize them with your own brand, and it's really easy to make it look beautiful and the way that you want to represent you or your business. I use the blogging feature a lot on the Hormone Diaries website. It's the way that we share everyone's stories that they submit, and then we also have a search function and categories of all of the different topics so people can find what they're looking for. And on the Doing It podcast website, it's just a great way for us to schedule all of the show notes and transcript pages every week. And Squarespace has some really powerful analytics tools to help you get to know your audience better. You can learn how people interact with your content, page views, how long they're staying on your website, traffic sources, audience geography, and loads of other useful insights. Having a website these days is so important, whether you're a creator, a small business, or even a working professional. It's a space online that is entirely yours and that you are in control of. If you don't have a personal, professional website yet, I would highly recommend getting one. It's so useful in the world of work, and it can just be a hub for all of the things that you do and a place to direct people to. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you are ready to launch, you can use my discount code. Go to squarespace.com/morehannah for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Hello, it is Monday morning. I don't know how interesting these updates are because obviously I'm not going to film what I actually get up to on Fridays because then that would be working. But I had a great Friday off. Oh my goodness. I literally said to Dan at one point on Friday, I feel so alive. And I wasn't even kidding. I felt so good. I was like, this is living. And all I was doing was life admin and errands, but just with no pressure, and it didn't feel like I was rushed. I'm like, what a great day. But I had a lovely lie-in, did some life admin, some house chores, ran some errands. I finished reading Reputation. I spent several hours just on the sofa in the afternoon reading. It was glorious. One thing though that I did realize from last week, so I did manage to get all of my work done by Thursday finishing up, but I was working longer days and I hadn't really taken many lunch breaks. I was pretty much working through lunch on most days last week. I'm like, is that ideal? If it means that I get everything done and I get to take Friday off and I get to feel alive, but is that not the purpose of it? Should I not be trying to still take my lunch break and still do my regular working hours and have Friday off? I don't know. It's tricky, but so far I've been able to get all of my work done in those 4 days, even if I am working longer hours. But it hasn't felt like I have. It was only when looking back, I was just like, oh yeah, I didn't really take lunch last week. For me though, the motivation of not having to work on Friday is great motivation. If I do have to work for my lunch break, I'm like, this is a sacrifice that I'm willing to make. We shall see though. Maybe it'll catch up on me. So I have learned that the Financial Diet are also doing an experiment with a 4-day work week. Now theirs is obviously much more official than mine because they are a fully fledged business with 12 employees, and they are doing their experiment for 7 months, not 1 month. But it was interesting to read their blog post all about why they're doing it and how they are measuring the success of it. And I will link that in the description if you fancy giving it a read. But as I was reading about their success metrics that they're going to be measuring to see if the experiment is worth continuing, made me realize that I don't really have any success metrics. Is the idea of this experiment to just do the experiment and see what it's like, or do the experiment and see if this is a worthwhile work structure for me to continue long term with? But I'm trying to think about what my success metrics might be. One is definitely just how I feel about it. Do I feel less stressed? Do I feel like work is more manageable? Do I enjoy having Fridays off? Do I enjoy the 4-day work week? Is it helping with my mental health and just general emotional stability and stress levels. So that's something that I'm constantly aware of as I do things. And then I guess the other thing is like, is all of my work getting done? Am I able to do everything that I need to get done? And then I don't know beyond that, because I could put things that are to do with numbers, like views and listens and followers and all of this stuff, but I'm trying to stay away from that kind of thing. I guess, am I saying no to any paid opportunities that I would otherwise say yes to, but I just don't have the time to do? That would be a big one. Like if something happens and literally the only reason I say no is because I don't have the time, but otherwise it would have been a well-paid thing, it would be something that I would absolutely love to do, that might be a bit of a red flag of like, oh, doing this 4-day work week is actually making me lose income because of it. So that's probably something for me to look out for. But that's all I've got for now. The main thing really is just how I feel. Good. So it's Thursday afternoon and I am pooped. I'm so tired. I still haven't taken a proper lunch break this week. It just has not been possible. So when I think about it, I'm like, am I actually doing a 4-day work week or am I doing a 4.5-day work week? Because my actual like working hours during the days that I am working have been extended slightly. However, I'm still thrilled about having Friday off. I kind of like it this way. I don't know if there's any science to if it's bad for me, but I'm still enjoying it. And like, I don't mind working through lunch. I don't know if that will change or if like long term that will catch up with me. Probably. But today I worked through lunch because this morning I did a whole lot of filming and I am like physically and mentally spent from it. And one of the videos that I filmed was a refilm because I wasn't happy with my framing and like how I set everything up the first time I did it. So I just did the entire thing again, which isn't something that I normally do. Like, I'm not that much of a perfectionist. Sometimes I'm just a bit like, that'll do. But this time around, I was just like, no, I'm gonna make this better. And I'm glad I did. I'm also just like getting used to filming in this space and kind of figuring out all the different angles and like the best places that I can film and stuff as well. So that's a lot of fun. But it does mean that filming takes a lot more time because I don't have like my routine or my set place that I film. I'm kind of like experimenting with different corners of this room. But then I finished filming and I had like 10 minutes to grab some food from the cafe downstairs before I had a call. And then I ate my lunch on my call. This week is the first week where I've had to bump something to next week. And it's not the end of the world because it's not something that I absolutely had to get done today. But previous weeks I was able to get everything on my to-do list done. So it does feel like a bit of a that I had to move it, but even when I'm working 5 days a week, I often move stuff to the following week. So it's fine. It's just like one of those big brain tasks that would take about like an hour and a half to do, and my Thursday afternoon brain, which mentally feels like a Friday afternoon brain, is just like, no. But I just have like a few bits to tie up today and then I will be done. And my plans for tomorrow, honestly, this is so good that I have tomorrow off because I have a blood test in the morning, first thing in the morning, and then in the late morning, I have a hospital appointment because I actually got a gynecology appointment, which if you're following the Hormone Diaries on my other channel, I've been waiting months for this. They just rang me last week, like, we have an appointment free on Friday, are you free? And I was like, I am free. So that's amazing. Got very lucky there, that's very cool. So yeah, I basically just have medical health admin to do tomorrow, and then probably just some more house life admin. Go to the shops, buy some food, cook the food, that kind of thing. It'll be great. I'm gonna finish the last few bits of work and then put my out of office on. That's another thing. Have I mentioned that yet? I put my out of office on and it feels good. Happy Monday! So my Friday was just another banger. Like, I love having Fridays off. Oh my goodness, am I gonna have to continue this? Because this is just like such a glorious schedule for me. Like, I'm obsessed. But I had my blood test and had my hospital appointment, and I actually do have some footage of that, obviously, because I'm filming it for the Hormone Diaries, but that didn't feel like work because I'm like documenting this whole thing. Is it work? But the rest of the day I hung out with my friend Lucy, we got lunch, I cycled around London, and it was so good. I went further on my bike than I have gone before. I'm like slowly stretching myself, getting myself more and more comfortable, like cycling further distances around London, and I just had a jolly good time. And because I had nowhere to be and there were like no expectations on me, obviously after my appointments and stuff, like the rest of the day it's just like free time. And it meant that like I had my maps out in terms of like the direction of where I was going, but because I wasn't in a rush and I didn't have to be somewhere by a specific time, I'd just be cycling along, and then I would see like a bike sign that's like quiet way this way, or like this way to this area, and I'd be like, oh, that's where I'm heading, or oh, quiet way, and I would just turn off from my route that I was meant to be taking and just like higgledy-piggledied my way through London, and it felt so good. Once again, I feel so alive. It's just so simple and yet bringing me so much joy. There is something so significant yet understated about having no expectations on you, having nowhere to be at no specific time, not being rushed, but still like out and about doing things and just kind of like seeing where the day takes you depending on what you fancy doing. Spontaneity, like what is that? It's been a while. Like I feel like I haven't really behaved like this since like uni days, maybe, or maybe like the first couple of years out of uni as well. And also I guess like the pandemic hasn't really lent itself very well to any kind of spontaneity, but there's just something really nice about it. Anyway, back to work. I was just about to leave for the week. I forgot to update you, how dare I? This is a child's bike helmet because my head is small. But this week I'm actually taking 2 days, a day and a half off because Dan has also taken Thursday and Friday off, and we're going to visit some friends in Bath, or Bath, as the people who live in Bath would say. So it is Wednesday, I'm almost done for the day. I'm gonna finish the rest of my work at home because I left something there. Still not gotten used to this whole thing of having a studio yet. But there is one thing that is happening on Friday that is technically work that I can't change, but it's part of this Jack's Creator Club thing that I'm doing with Jack, the CEO of Patreon, and a group of other creators where we meet every week, and normally it's on a Wednesday. But this week it had to be changed, so it's on a Friday, so I will be working for 1 hour on Friday, but that is fine because it's so valuable, and I'm like, this is fine. It doesn't take away from this challenge, from doing it properly. It happens. But also I'm feeling really good because even though I'm only really working 3 days this week, I managed to take like a full hour for lunch today. I took a full hour on Monday, and I took like maybe half an hour on Tuesday, and I'm not like doing as longer days as I was last week, even though I'm like taking more time off this week. I don't know. I also think it might have something to do with the weather being much better, and so I want to get outside during my lunch break, and so I've been able to like go for a walk and like go grab some food and like be outside in the sun and the nice weather. So I think that probably has something to do with it. Right, I'm gonna go home now, and I'll see you on Monday. I am absolutely pooped after a 4-day weekend that included 2 friends' 30th birthdays. You can probably tell in my voice. Also, I had to get here to the studio really early this morning, so I got in at like 8 because at 8:30 we've got people coming around to install sound panels and a doing it neon sign in this corner. I'm honestly terrified that it's gonna look like shit because I do not have an eye for design. I don't know what I'm doing. I just throw money at my problems. So I'm really nervous. But I think that this week is my last week of Fridays off, and I don't want it to stop. Like, so far this experiment to me is like actually just a new way of life. Although I don't feel very well rested after this weekend, so I think it might be like an early one tonight. But that's fine because I've only got 4 days of work and then Friday off. In other news, I think I want to get a beanbag for the space because I'm currently just sat on the floor because we've got a desk chair and we've got 2 of these chairs and they're like filming and like podcasting chairs. But we need like a beanbag, a chilled seating area. So that's where I'm at. Oh my God. Look at that. Look at that. It's just been a manic morning and the installation is not finished yet because we've got some more panels going into the ceiling. But this is the main thing that you will see on camera and podcast video recordings and all of that kind of stuff. It looks so tiny on the wall, but with the setup with my laptop and webcam and stuff, it makes sense. I swear. I hope. No, we did test it. Oh my God. But yeah, it's been very manic this morning. People coming in and out and this all happening. So I haven't been able to like do as much work as I would like to, but I'm trying to crack on now. It's not a productive Monday for me. My brain is not present, and that's fine. I just had lunch. Yum, 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 yum. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's so cool. So it's the end of technically another 3-day week in the office because tomorrow, Thursday, I'm going to Leicester for a whole day of filming. So it's like a full day, but not here, like not gonna be able to do any other kinds of work. So I've had to like get everything done today. And I think I've managed it. There's like one thing that I had to bump until next week that's not the end of the world. But the thing is that next week is looking so busy, like so full. And I'm like, is this because everything's just now like piled up from me taking Fridays off? In other office studio news though, the correct colour for my cupboard doors came today. Ah, ha, 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 ha. So yes, this is what they were supposed to look like. And I'm obsessed. I love it. I love them so much. Good morning, good morning. It's the end. It's the end. So last Friday was my last official like Friday off as part of this 4-day work week experiment. And it was actually my least favorite day off. Like I still very much enjoy it as a whole. I ran a bunch of errands and did like house admin and stuff in the morning. And then in the afternoon, because I basically had no plans, and I usually enjoy having no plans, but I kind of just then lay on the sofa all day just watching YouTube videos. And I think I would have liked to have done some reading, but I just watched YouTube and scrolled on Zoopla for hours because I love looking at real estate and floor plans, even when I'm not in the market for buying or anything like that. So that was fun. It was my first time on a Friday when I felt bored, and I don't like feeling bored. And then I also maybe did a bit of work on Friday as well, but it was entirely accidental because I was actually just struck by inspiration, which rarely happens these days. And I was like on my phone at 8 in the morning, just like typing out this loose structure script thing for a video. And then also because doing this project was on my mind and I was feeling bored, I made sure to like write some notes and like started writing a bit of the outro for this video because I just wanted to get my thoughts and reflections down whilst they were fresh. But it didn't really feel like work because I didn't get there like, okay, I've got this task that I need to do and I've got this much time to do it, okay, let's go. It was just like, ooh, ideas, ooh, thinking, ooh, like this is fun, okay, right, let's go. But with like no pressure or anything like that. Unlike today. Oh my God. I said at the end of last week that this week is going to be busy, and I came into the office an hour earlier today, like I was in for 8 and I'm still behind. So that's fun. I technically have nothing scheduled in this Friday though, because I've been loving it so much that I wanted to keep my Fridays free. But we may have to just like move some stuff that I have to do on Friday. I do have to come into the office this Friday anyway because I'm getting a delivery of a beanbag. But yes, my last 3-day weekend was spent watching YouTube videos, playing tennis, riding my bike, and playing lots of Humankind. And on to outro, Hannah, for some final thoughts and wrap-ups of how this entire month has gone. Okay, we are at the end of the month. I loved it. That's my overall review, if you couldn't tell from the clips. Delegation of final video checks went great. We worked around our various schedules, so it wasn't every week, but when it was, it just like felt really good just to not have to think about that. On Monday morning, I still watched the video, like just in case, but also because I wanted to see the final video. Good for me to know what I'm putting out there. Some less good things, because you know, we're all about balance. It was a bit hit and miss whether I felt in control of my workload and whether I felt relaxed or stressed. Like the first 2 weeks felt really full on, and then like the second half was a bit more chill, but then now like the immediate aftermath is just so swamped. Like not fun at all. I can get all of my regular weekly tasks done, but really nothing more. So like big future plans to expand my team, and now obviously that I'm recording podcast episodes again, that's another big chunk of time taken up, which I wasn't doing during this experiment. And there's going to be video for this podcast as well, so there's all of that editing to factor in, which is something that I'm taking on currently and maybe in the future will delegate, but currently that's just like a new chunk of time in my week that I need to schedule time for. And it's also a new thing that I'm adding, so I actually don't know currently how long it's going to take me. So that's something that I need to figure out so I know like how much time to give myself every week to do the video stuff. And then last Friday, I just felt a bit bored and unfulfilled. And this isn't at all about like feeling bad because I was being unproductive. No, it didn't feel like that at all. It was just like my choice of passive activities to be doing like didn't leave me feeling nourished. Because I think we can have leisure time that leaves us feeling really good, and then we can also have like leisure time that leaves us just feeling a bit empty. And Friday was definitely an empty feeling one, but that was 1 out of 5. So I think that's still a pretty good ratio. So plans going forward. What am I scheming? So my plan, emphasis on the word plan, is to avoid putting any external stuff or like regular content creation stuff on Fridays. So things like meetings, events, recording podcast episodes, filming videos, like avoid doing all of that stuff on Fridays, and still also making myself unavailable to others in a work capacity on Fridays. However, I don't think I'm going to entirely use Fridays as just like a day off, pure leisure time. What instead I'm going to do is just use Fridays however I want, which is a weird thought. But I did really enjoy like waking up on a Friday and just being like, I have no plans today. What do I want to do? And whilst during this experiment, obviously I wasn't allowed to work. If I wake up one Friday and I'm like, I want to get some work done, then I can get that work done. I might avoid coming into the office because I do quite like just sitting on my laptop on my sofa and getting bits of work done. Like that feels just like so much more chill and like less official than like coming in here. So maybe, however, got a beanbag delivery this Friday, so I will be in the office this Friday. But maybe I'll do house admin and errands, maybe I'll socialize, maybe I'll do some leisure activities, or maybe I will do some of like the big strategy planning work, or maybe I'll read some of these damn sex books, because that's another thing that I really feel like I just haven't been able to do recently. I have been 40 pages into this book for a good few months. And I think it's because I have this made up rule in my head where if it's a workbook, and so by that I mean like non-fiction, sex and relationships kind of book, then I have to read it on work time, but then I never get it done. So either I just need to accept that if I'm reading a book that is like work related, I just have to treat it like any other book that I'd read and just read it whenever. Or that could be a Friday thing as well. Just like undisturbed reading, research, nourishment, refilling the well, gaining knowledge, all of that kind of stuff. Because this book is brilliant, but it's so dense. So I think it's going to take me a while to get through it, but it like deserves my like full attention. It's Revolting Prostitutes, by the way, The Fight for Sex Workers' Rights by Molly Smith and Juno Mack. So those are my loose plans. Now, pretty much every Friday going forward, I still didn't book anything on. Like I didn't put work in, I didn't put meetings in, I kind of like made myself unavailable. However, as I mentioned, this week is, how did it happen? Like honestly, it's not fun. And one of the things that I have to remember with the kind of work that I do and just the nature of my job is that you get like downtime where like there's nothing really happening, and everything feels really manageable. And then you have times where you're just like, oh my God, how is everything happening at once? And I feel like that is what I'm in now. And one of the skills that I think I've developed from doing this job is being able to manage the really hectic times and then also being able to accept the really quiet times and trying not to fill the quiet times with more work and just like embracing it and enjoying it for what it is, because you know the hectic times are coming. So this Friday, unfortunately, I have had to like bump lots of important work to Friday in order to just get the bare minimum done. But I'm going to be in the studio anyway, waiting for my beanbag. So might as well crack on with some work. And then we'll see going forwards if I manage to keep my Fridays sacred. I just like want it to be a me day that I can like do whatever I want with, whether that is personal or work stuff, but making myself unavailable to others. I think that is the key thing for me. I think the real sense of freedom that I got from doing this experiment was nobody expects anything from me today. Nobody needs to know where I am. Nobody needs to know what I'm doing. Nobody needs me to get back to them. Like that feels good. And that is a feeling that I really want to hold on to. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this video was like interesting or insightful in some way. I would love to hear in the comments your thoughts on like our whole work culture, and if you've ever been able to do a 4-day work week. Is that something that your employer offers? Is it something that maybe you can campaign to ask for them to do an experiment? Or are you someone who also works for themselves, and how do you manage like taking breaks and resting and all of that stuff? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.